At what point do you stop trying to be heard and start paying attention to where you're meant to contribute? This is the Your Next Success podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Sangal. I am a life-first career coach and strategist on a mission to normalize questioning your career, because I believe each of us is made on purpose for a purpose only we can fulfill. The longer we live out of alignment with who we are, what we do best, and why we are here, the more we miss out, and the more the world misses out on what only we can give. The Your Next Success podcast is where we explore how to build a career that truly fuels your life. We talk about self-discovery, smart job search strategies, professional growth, and you will hear stories from people who have navigated big career transitions themselves, so you can create a life-first career and become your own version of authentic success, one that is aligned, meaningful, and truly yours. My guest today is Camilla Calberg. Through her own experiences navigating corporate environments, Camilla began to recognize something many people feel but struggle with. You can be doing the work, showing up, contributing, and still sense that something is off. What she came to understand is that this tension is information. Information about alignment, about environment, and about whether your voice is actually being heard. In this episode, we explore the moments that shaped that realization for Camilla, how those experiences changed the way she leads, and how she now helps others move from being overlooked to becoming trusted advisors. Camilla Calberg, welcome to Your Next Success. I am thrilled to be talking with you today.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm super excited to be here and see what's going to unfold.
Awesome. And you're joining, I believe, from Copenhagen, Denmark. So this is amazing. Thus far, we were talking just before we started recording that I think thus far you're the person who I'm recording with that's the furthest away of where I am. So this is 3 cheers for the internet, and super excited again to talk with you. So we will get to all the amazing, awesome things that you do today to help people with who they are, who they're becoming. But let's take it back to the beginning of your story. Where were you born? Tell us about what life was like for the very youngest, Camilla.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm born in Copenhagen, but very shortly after the arrival or the birth of my little sister, my sibling, we moved to the countryside. And I think really was like, where can we get a big house, a house big enough for this young family? But how that influenced me is that now I'm such a nature person. I love being in nature, and I'd rather live in the nature in the countryside than in the city. And I also love sea. And I did horse riding. I did a lot of swimming. And I really just enjoyed that early start of my childhood. I don't know where we are going on this one, but maybe I'm going to drop it. It's something I never shared before, but it has, I think, subconsciously paved what I'm doing right now. And at the age of 7, there's these boys in school, right? If I can't ride with you on your bike, then I'm gonna hit you. And it ended up in a dramatic bike crash where you could pull out all my teeth. I think I was age 6 or age 7. And at that point in time, I'm born in 71. That nobody really knew about what you do with such a young child. Where you could literally pull out all my teeth. A long story short is that led to 40 plus years of dental operations, and subconsciously into that I want to help other women. I never want to be a dentist, but I've never shared this before, but I just felt that it could be not interesting, but valuable to share, because I know the conversations you facilitate is going to be really interesting. So I just want to share this as well.
Thank you for so you were in this horrendous bike crash, and your teeth were like knocked in, or like all like what? Like,
so literally I was biking. I don't know what we call it in English, but there was this boy sitting behind me, and we were going downhill, and I like, oh my. So he jumped off, and the moment he jumped off, I catapulted in the air and banged my head on the road. And when you do that, you go like this, because literally it was like bleeding. And what meant that they had to kind of cement my teeth, my jaws, because otherwise you could just literally pull them out, because I got such a knock in the road, because I was,
oh my gosh, how terrifying. And like any little tiny cut in the mouth, like bleeds so much. So I can't imagine, that must have been just like terrifying. And so as you're there, not quite understanding like what just happened, and now there's all this blood, how did you stay calm? How did you keep composure?
I was really knocked out. So the next moment I stood up, and I could just feel like I had to walk to school like this.
Oh.
And I went up to the headmaster and said, I need some help. I just knew that if I did this, like, and I was unconscious in that moment.
Yeah.
And I when you are in such a crash, you're not awake. And you
Absolutely.
I just forgot like this. I need some help.
Wow.
But I think my grandmom, one of them, said, "You're born under a wrong star." But because it was such heavy surgeries I had to undergo some of my teeth are not even my real teeth, right? And then I had a bike crash and a car crash in Dublin. And so I had some of these, but it has probably built my resilience, because,
Absolutely. Yeah. But all these like character building things, right? It's like in hindsight, it's like, okay, actually that did help me become who I am. Okay, that it tried to get me down, and nice try, haha. But in the moment, or thinking about it now, it's like, are you kidding? Why? Like what purpose could that serve? But
I never thought about that. But my heart to help other people.
Absolutely.
Emerged at a very early stage, because all these dental operations or surgeries I had to undergo, and people called me different names, that I want to help other people.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I for sure know what it means to go.
Yeah. And that's just not a want, that became an inherent need of yours, to be able to help people with whatever they're going through, as you had been seeing, from some children, maybe names and making fun or bullying, but from adults or those who actually had greater authority, greater power, they showed you compassion and kindness and healing. And so that, wow. Okay. So that's thank you for sharing that. And then as you're, 8, 9, 10, how is this evolving as far as like what you're enjoying doing versus what you have to do in school? Like, how are those two worlds aligning?
Yeah. So what happened at grade 5, we moved to Copenhagen to find a better school. So we then went to the boarding school, one of the top 3 boarding schools in Copenhagen area. And it shifted who I was, because I came from the countryside where everybody knew everyone, moving to a very rich area where nobody talked to each other, police on the streets. And I couldn't really find myself in that environment. And it shaped me also in that way that I just knew, I don't know how is that what happened inside me, but I just knew that I needed to do something else than everyone else. So when I was then into high school, when everyone else went to high school, then go to university or business school, I just knew I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to compete with everyone else, because then I'm going to compete with them when at the first job. So I'm going to find something else. So how I was thinking was very different from how the rest of my peers were thinking. And very interesting where this conversation is going. But I think it's important because that's who I am. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So while everybody else is kind of following the status quo and kind of like, this is what you should do, and so that therefore that's what they will do, you're having these other things of, no, actually, I don't want the standard path. I want to do something more free, more flexible. And so, or just different. But like, and so how did that lead you? Like, then what did you do? Like, let's say when it's time for finishing high school to decide what to do next, then what did you choose?
Oh, yeah. So I think it was more about, I want to do more me, and I don't want to compete with all the bunch of people who were graduating and competing for the same job. So what I did was, in Denmark before high school, go to US for 1 year in high school, right? But there wasn't the funds maybe, and my mom was not so happy to send me to 1 year in US. So I just knew I get to do something. And then I very deliberately chose a university, a business school, where I could go abroad. So I did abroad 2 years in Denmark, and then 1 year in UK, do my thesis for a pharmaceutical company. And then that business school said, you get to do an MBA. Like, what is an MBA? When I was like, in Denmark at that point in time, it was only the CEOs who were funded MBAs, right? So I came home and I said, well, I want to do my MBA. All right, that's a lot of money. So I found the money and did some work in Denmark. I found out to do work for the foreign ministry in Germany. I passed the GMAT exam, got the funding, and I went off again to UK to do my MBA.
Wow. Yeah. Where did you go there? Where did you choose to do your MBA?
South Brighton, south from London, and then combined also in Germany near Stuttgart.
Wow. Okay. And how did you choose that pharmaceutical company to do some thesis work?
A good question. My mom is, she still is, but she does a bit of work voluntarily, but my mom is a psychiatrist. So following her, not path, but it was who can I write a thesis for, a dissertation. Then she had a lot of contacts, and I knocked on the doors, and I ended up obviously serving one of these companies. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then so you go and you get your MBA, which, from your experience thus far, it was like, man, only CEOs do that. Did you have any inkling that you wanted to be a CEO, or were you just kind of like, I'm just going to take this opportunity because it's here?
Just an opportunity. That was the first wall I had to really crack open when I came back, because in UK, everyone went to have an MBA. Like that's what we do. In Denmark, it was not what we did. So when I was applying for jobs, they were more interested in me. How tough was MBA? How much does it cost? Did you fund it yourself? I said, yes. Yeah. So I actually were considering moving back to the UK to find a job, because I couldn't find a job in Denmark. And by applying, then BP at that point in time has said, send out all the SVPs to countries. And there was one SVP in Denmark, and I applied for a job, and I was overqualified. And then she knows the UK system, And that's how that was a role created for me in BP UK headquarters. And so I moved back to UK.
Wow. So so there was a woman that saw your value, saw your potential, and made a job for you to be able to do. And you saw the opportunity again and were like, why not? Now, had you been interested in, BP kind of products before? Like, I mean, growing up in the countryside, I just like that there's power and things to do. But did you have any sort of passion for the world or the environment or fuel or any of those sorts, or just?
No, not at all. But it was the international sphere, and in Denmark at that point in time, you had BP gas stations all over, so I kind of could relate to the brand. Yeah. But I was looking for a place where I could unleash my potential. And she saw the value, and me hungry to grow, hungry to learn. And it turned out to be the best ever step in my career to do that.
Yeah, tell a little bit more about that. Like, what made that experience to be so foundational for you?
Yeah, because it was. So the first step was interesting. I was hired as an assistant, and before I even started, I got promoted. I love that, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And in BP, at least with the department, the amazing leader I got to serve, it was all responsibility at a very young age, and go out and do market research in Europe. So I had from day one a lot of responsibility from whole brand Castrol BP in Europe. And I don't know where I ended up being a high flyer, moving from project to project, bigger projects being called, like, we're going to do this reorg at 10 o'clock at night. Do you want to join us? You cannot say to anyone what's going on. And there was just people on my team who believed so much in me to help me grow. And it just became foundational for me daring to do more and say yes to more. And that really became a very foundational 7 years in my career. Yeah.
And so then, with that being such an excellent experience, like, why in the world would you ever choose to leave that?
Yeah, that's good. So after the biggest reorg, I was working out of UK, serving Europe, but living in Denmark. And the next step was to relocate to London and go from an expert to be a UK employee. Money-wise, that was no longer interesting, looking at how much a flat cost in London compared to how much you earn. So that was the one consideration. The other consideration was my grandmom. I love my grandmom. So that separation, being suddenly on a local terms and conditions, I couldn't fly home as regularly as I did. And that was also an opportunity to go and serve Asia. But I found maybe it's time for me to leave and find something else. It was not an easy choice. I had about a year to think through and a lot of conversations what to do next. But it was time. Yeah.
And so then what did you choose to do after that?
Yeah. So after traveling 7 years, right? I've got a bit, even though I had a chauffeur, I fly out business class, you get a bit, okay, I'm a bit tired now. So I chose to serve Shell as okay, I want to travel less. Caroline, I started to travel more.
Oh,
And the next job was for me to serve Australia, US, and Canada, me being based in Denmark. So after 3 months, I knew that once this assignment that I was on was completed, I was going to find another job, because at least for me, when you travel so much, you start to lose out of life. Not that you just want to find something that you're not going to take the plane to go to work. And you spend many hours just by getting to the airport, being in the airport, getting off. I've done it. And I was filled. No longer looking forward to that. Yeah.
So it starts taking a toll on so I'm a big proponent of your performance, your relationships, and your well-being. So while your performance was great, I imagine that your, personal relationships, while having to be in the airport all the time, and your own well-being from all this all over the world, jet lag and all of that, like it's really starting to, it lost its appeal, I guess.
Yeah, it was no longer fancy to have whatever you had, because it was just a means to go to work. Things were just playing out. And it still wasn't, it was a good, Shell is an amazing company, but for me, going from BP to Shell, different environment, different cultures, you get to build up different cheerleaders. It was just a very different experience. So I chose very quickly to say, no, something else.
Not me.
Not me.
Now, I forgot to ask you, from your childlike view, what did you think it meant for someone to be successful?
That's a good question. To work hard. So I've always seen my mom work hard, right? If you want to go have that vacation, do you want me to work hard, or do you want me to be home and have a hot chocolate ready when you come home from school? My dad was home because he was a professional musician, so he practiced in the afternoon or late mornings, and concerts in the evening. But that of seeing my mom being so dedicated is also her calling. But I definitely copied that of working hard. Was the only way to be successful.
And did you pick up on any musical influences from your father?
Mm-hmm. I played. So we had no choice, my sister and I, to learn to play the piano. I played the sax, the drums, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow. That's still pretty varied, you got all the instrument families. But yeah, that's interesting. So you got this work ethic view of success from your mother's perseverance, and your dad also influential in you learning some musical outlets, maybe some. And was it relaxing for you if you played the instruments?
Yeah, but when you go and play the piano, you could just sit for hours. It was like meditating. Just really create your own music. It's just like really creating your own bubble. It was such a relaxing, not experience, but it's really relaxing to play the piano. Yeah.
And did you keep a piano with you all these times and travels? Had you carried that along, or did you put those on a shelf while pursuing work?
I put it on the shelf, but whenever there is a piano, I love to play Fürlies. I don't know.
Yes. My kids play. Yeah.
And then, what do you call it? Moonshine. I can't remember some of these in English. But I would like to. Right now, we don't have space for a big piano, but I'd love to take it up because I know now how important it is for the soul to be fulfilled, and that of just sitting there and the music is emerging. It's really meditative.
Imagine what your life would be like if your career aligned with who you are, what you do best, and actually fueled the life you want. At Next Success, we support all ages and stages through career transitions, from students exploring majors or careers to job seekers actively searching or reimagining their next move to professionals committed to self-awareness and leadership growth. Stay connected and explore what's possible at nextsuccesscareers.com And follow Next Success Method on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, and especially if it sounds like you may have had some inherent abilities maybe passed down from your father's side. And when you do have these things where you're starting to lose track of time and you're just immersed in that world from utilizing part of who you are, you're absolutely right. In order to be holistically fulfilled, that needs time to be able to be expressed. So, okay. All right. So now you're back at Shell and you're realizing, oh, I don't think I like this. I don't think this is my story anymore. I think I'd like to do something different. And so then how did that evolve? And then what happened?
Yeah. And that was, it's the first time I talk about this open air, but this is good. I was very quick at assessing this is not my place. This is not where I'm going to feel fulfilled. And we were rolling out IT, SAP, and IBM was leading that rollout. So I knocked on IBM's door. They saw me. And 9 months before, it's like pregnant time, right? Before rollout or go live, I made the agreement to move over to IBM. So that was already a done deal.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. But so far, it's like you are working at some phenomenally impressive global companies. And now this is now your third global with established. And so you're getting to see from the inside out what it's really like to be within some of these companies and to feel how awesome it is to have leadership around you that supports you, sees you, wants the best for you. And to start to realize in another, like, ooh, okay, this is interesting, but not my fit. And then you get to IBM. So then how was it like inside IBM? What did you experience there? How was that for you?
I loved IBM. I joined when there was a financial crisis in 2008. So there was a lot of turbulence. I stayed there for, I think, 7 years or so. And the opportunity that I got, I think most of us get when we work for IBM, is that to work on so many different accounts. So I was suddenly, I think based on everything I'd done in BP and Shell, there was, again, I was traveling and I was like, okay. But I was on big accounts, bridging and kind of not meditating, but mediating between the client side and IBM side. And it was just really, I really enjoyed it. And I learned a lot what it means to be a consultant. And that was a time where I started to grow my interest in leadership dynamics. I just picked it up because I was oftentimes on projects or on tasks where something was not working. And just saw it as natural. Of course, then I go in and jump in and assess what is not working. But the more I got into that, the more curious I became about leadership dynamics. Yeah. Which is now.
And what were some of the dynamics? Things are not working. And what were you starting to formulate as maybe some of the reasons for things not working? What particular dynamics or traits or characteristics of the leaders were you starting to see?
Yeah. So there was a few things I started to see. I started to see that we do not always, and I think we can make that universal, is that we do not always understand what is really going on. So we assume something, but we don't take time to understand the friction. And I went in to understand the friction.
Yeah.
And then translated that to leadership language. And I ended up, and I'm a strong advocate on LinkedIn and my videos to be a trusted advisor, because I ended up being a trusted advisor because it was just so natural. In BP, I worked out from the headquarters in London. So it was easy for me to be in that corridor. I have respect for people, but it's not the same as feeling less than.
Yes.
Uh, So taking up the space as a trusted advisor became so natural for me. And then say, I think you should say this next time you see him. So guiding leaders, because they have focus on delivering, they have focus on serving client problems, but helping them understand what they should also focus on. So that has a tremendous value.
Yeah, and definitely. Yeah. So helping them refine and understand beyond the scope that they saw, some of the underlying communication dynamics, the underlying inherent ways of how they were operating from who they were, and then how they could adjust to have that great relationship with whoever they were talking to. Yeah, I'm kind of been very big lately on, the leader within. So many times people are approaching leadership challenges and problems from some sort of external surface view. And really it's more of like, but wait, how are you wired? And how is that expressing? And how can we consider and bring your self-awareness to some other things of how to adjust? So you're intuitively doing this based on some of the things. Okay. And so then with this kind of, you're becoming this trusted advisor, you're having all these things, then why in the world would you ever leave IBM? Like, what happened then?
That's a good question. I can't remember exactly, but there was something happening in the economic world around 2013. And I just felt that it's time to leave. There was job enough, assignments enough, but I had to travel. And I just told I've been traveling for 8 years. I felt I'd done my part there. I didn't need to travel. So I said, maybe it's time. And it was not easy because I've been like for most of my career, big companies, global reach. And then I say, it may be time to go local. It's like local, like my entire language, my career is English. It's so much easier for me to speak English than do it in Danish because everything I've done for 20 years has been English.
Yes.
But I decided that, okay, now it's time. And throughout my career, many people have said, I think you should go and create something on your own. And so, but before I did that, I went to another company, and a few years later, the reorg, I got fired, and then I think that was a bridge to okay, now I go solo.
You got fired, or you got like laid off, like reduced in force?
Yeah. So what is for me the same, but not fired, but reduced in force. But what was really interesting here is that when we see reduced in force, what do you mean?
So like this means so here it can be if you're fired, that's like for cause. Like you did something big, bad, wrong, bad, horrible. You could never be employed again. There is no severance package. You're just straight fired. That's it. And then a reduction in force or a layoff is more like, hey, our business needs have changed. Thanks. Good job, you. Here's a little bit of we're so sorry. We're going to have to part ways, and we're going to make it a little bit easier for you. So depending on your years of service or the terms of the agreement, we're going to give you a little tiny cushion, but you're on your way out. Thanks so much. Don't sue us. Here's your package. Sign this package. You'll get paid a little bit more. And we agree it's just friends parting. Like, so there's like a little bit of a different, now if either way, when it is not your choice and your job is ending, it feels so bad. And for like, this is from like the global recruiter hat of mine, like it was always part of my trying to discern and understand, wait, what do you mean by that? Tell me more. Because for the next employer, it absolutely matters whether it was a, ooh, so sorry, tiny business change, our bad, you're free to go, versus a, you broke some important rule so bad that you're walked out the door immediately. So like that distinction. And it matters also for the person describing their experience to that next HR talent acquisition person accurately so that they don't get eliminated based on an assumption, if that meant.
Yeah.
Does that help?
So, yeah, it does. Yeah. So it was a layoff, but it was really interesting because there was a reorg. So most of my career I've done reorgs. So I know how to do the scripts for HR, blah, blah. And I was leading this reorg. And when it came, and then I got one, there was reorgs in different departments. I've been running that one out. And then I just know the script because I scripted.
Right. And then next thing you know, you're part of it. And they didn't tell you you're part of it. Thank you. Oh,
next
wow.
Level. So I got this email. I said, well, I kind of wrote it. I found it so funny. It was not a place for me to stay. So it was absolutely the best thing. And there was also the point in time, this was really, I think, the moment where everything cracked open in my personal life. Very unhappy, but also serving HR, working out from HR. They did not know how to hold the space for me and see me. Anyway, I got my own email.
But what's underneath, right? But what's underneath that? So like, there's a little. I don't want to pry, but so it's like you're doing well in your work, but now something is unraveling in your personal life, and then they're not able to help. Like the company who you're spending more time than people in your personal life, they're not giving space for you to support. But like, could you share a little bit more? Do you feel comfortable sharing
happy
a little
to,
more?
and that's also the very first new article on LinkedIn I wrote. This really, really interesting from dynamics perspective, and also what's going on in HR. I think from what I experienced is that at that point in time, my daughter was. I joined a few months later. I got pregnant. Took one in Denmark. You get time off, so I got 1 year off. Come back, and there was a reorg. I got kind of downgraded, but at that time, I was surviving at home, and every time it's so many years ago, but I still feel my body response. I would leave at home and I would go straight to my parents who live close to the office, and I would sit in the kitchen crying. I was so afraid to leave the person I have spent 10 years with. What about my daughter? And in all this, Callan, apparently I could not have operated at my highest.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to do my best. And I think for many years I was excellent at wearing masks. But nobody asked me, how are you doing? So I reported once that they said, okay, this is really weird. There was this really strange situation. Also there, I was a trusted advisor to the CFO and other people. But there was one project manager I couldn't bond with. And this is really strange. There was this meeting and said, now, Camilla, you're going to facilitate this meeting. There was so much tension in this room. And what he would be doing, Caroline, is that he would sit not around the table, but he would sit in the corner and just watching me facilitate this conversation.
Oh, wow.
And I found that's really strange as a leader to actually pull out. So I reported that. And I was working out of HR and said, I don't know, but this is not just the way I think it should be. And I cracked open. Obviously, I was so vulnerable because my private life was falling apart. And I was told, Camilla, this is just how it is to work with big bosses. So we give you 10 sessions to a psychologist so you can go and make yourself stronger. And I sat there, Kelly.
So it's like, you're the problem. You need to fix yourself. It's not this toxic guy in the corner that's making things extremely. We're going to protect him. But now that you reported a problem, you're now becoming the problem. And to solve your problem, we're going to give you 10 sessions with a doctor to go straighten your head out. Like, come on.
That's true. And I sat there this cannot be true. Nobody has been interested in me, and I've reported a problem, and I just have to accept the problem because I became the problem.
Yeah.
So I was so glad. And then in this session, all these 10 sessions, I said, is this confidential? Not confidential. It's confidential. Then everything cracked open and say, I get to move from this person I'm spending my life with. And it wasn't catapulted to that. But I wanted to, this is the very first time I share this open. But I think it's about having people on your team, but also that this maybe sometimes HR are blindfolded and are not as good as really reading the energy. And
Right.
and I think it could be a different conversation, but I serve a lot of women who report and try to build psychological safe environments, but when there really are no safe environments to show up and report problems. Yeah.
I think, and I've noticed that too. And it's so sad because, you think HR, human resources, should be there to care about each human and their individual needs. And even in some of my own experiences, reporting a problem backfires that you're the problem. And then the human resources, though, takes this overarching view of protect the company, right? Not necessarily serve the humans to the best of its ability. I think that's a huge it's like we talk about emotional intelligence, we talk about empathy, we talk about psychological safety, and in some things they're just words on a page, but they're not actually actions from within a company. And then that then leaves space and reasons for why we now both exist outside of that environment to serve those unmet needs and maybe individual HR leaders may want to, but then they feel this constraint of they're there to represent and keep the company safe. And so they have to play that protect the guy in the corner, not the person who's vulnerable and clearly experiencing and pointing out something that needs to be addressed. Oh, such an important dynamic. I know, right? How did we get here? But it's so needed.
It's exactly. And I was shocked. I dared to cry. And Mom said, never cry. I also write that on LinkedIn. Never cry in front of other people because they think you're weak, right? A few months later, I got laid off. Whatever, I could have been laid off anyway. But I had started to report some problems. I believe without everything, I think now we know that the reason why I help women navigate toxic spaces. But I found it so weird that I had to accept toxic work environments. So you go and see a psychologist because you are weak. It was like it, and probably because my mom is a psychiatrist. I didn't have the language then, but it felt so wrong. It's not that I felt misjudged, but I just think this is crazy.
It's betrayal. It's betrayal because you put your loyalty into this company for where you're giving your time, effort, and energy and doing your best, regardless of what's happening in the world around you, your personal situations, being a new mom, all of these things. You're still showing up fully to the best of your abilities in those moments. And having come from all of those other companies where you were a trusted advisor, and when you would bring up something of, hey, maybe here's how you could change the next time, those people listened. And this is the first case then of this other company operating differently because of their leaders. And then now, jokes on them, because not only did you take those 10 sessions, but you raised it up to like becoming even more of, no, I'm going to, fight against this injustice and be a voice to help others be heard, be seen, and get that support that wasn't there for you.
So true. This is my body's responding. It's the first time I ever speak about this in open, but it's so important.
Extremely important. Thank you for sharing that, because also sometimes when those things happen to us in the workplace and somebody tries to like course correct our valid feelings and experiences, sometimes we can feel so ashamed that even happened to us, and we can try to like squish and become smaller to fit into the narrative that they're protecting.
That was not me, because I always said I wanted
no.
it. So I think I needed to have the universe get me that assignment, because I didn't feel that I needed to squeeze. I felt I used it as my what's the English word, but I don't want to.
Like a battle cry, like it's cracking you open into this new thing. Yeah,
exactly. It pushed me forward, because I think I cannot be the only one. This is so wrong, but I'm not going to sit with this.
Yeah.
And I wrote an article about this experience, because what if they just asked, how are you? Working from HR, nobody asked me, how are you? Just see a psychologist because you're too weak. It's like, hello. But and maybe that's one of the reason for me doing the work is that I just didn't get, may I just swear, it's like, I didn't get pissed. I just thought, it cannot be true that I'm working out and serve HR and I have to accept toxic people.
Yeah.
So wrong.
Yeah. And so now that propels you forward. And then how did you fashion this then into this empire now that you have? Yeah.
Yeah. So the course was, okay, get decouple, which then ended me personally into like becoming more resilient. But at the same time, that layoff was a catapulted me into where I'm now. I did one business about solely consultancy as a trusted advisor. And then later on, after COVID, coaching and mentoring, because it was for me more important to help other people become more resilient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I went from doing to teaching other people how to become more resilient, because I had to learn it myself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. And now how do people that are feeling some sort of way and feel like they might need help, like how do they come to find you and how do you help them?
So they find me primarily on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Also, some people come from YouTube. I have a lot of videos on how to pitch yourself from the mindset perspective when you want to find the next job. I talk about trusted advisor, going from a doer to a trusted advisor. And mainly they reach out because my story resonates with them. Like playing small, having accepted too much, tolerated too much, wanting to no longer play small. And that's what I help them build. Even this morning I had a conversation with my daughter, like, have respect for yourself first. And then love yourself first, not love it and respect everyone else, because then you don't respect yourself. And that's what I help those who are in my world. Set healthier boundaries, because I didn't know what it was. I had to learn it the hard way. But the more we respect ourselves, the more we love ourselves, the more, and the trusted advisor, I've been a trusted advisor for 20 years, right? And they want to be a trusted advisor, but they end up being the doer.
Yes.
Because we don't know how to ask bold questions when this toxic or CEO, well, they're dominating, then we squeeze ourselves, okay, I've got to do this. And they don't get to say what they want to say. And then I just knew if I just had said it, then we would have done it differently. And I help them to stay calm in that power and lead with a heart of service and a heart of authenticity, not loudness, but boldness.
I love it. And it's interesting because even going back to that 7-year-old bike accident, something tried to silence your voice. And that happened a couple different times. And what did you do? You held and supported your voice and you asked for help and allowed yourself to be helped by others. And now you propel and you do that for everyone else who comes into your world too. It is powerful, just straight. And I think you're testament to your resilience of no, this isn't going to get me down. Wait a minute. You're trying to silence me, and I know there are good people here. Maybe that's partially your mom, and seeing that in her work ethic also. She's helping so many people going through challenges. So that just became an ingrained thing in you that you express so much.
Wow. See, I just knew I had to share this. And that is so beautiful and so powerful. My body responded because that notch download that I just have to share with you what happened when I was 7. I remember, I don't know why I feel I have to, and it's the first time ever I shared it on a show. I just felt that something amazing is going to unfold. And you just closed it so powerfully and beautifully because it wanted me to stay silent, right? But I still carried my voice to school. It was just, it's interesting how we reflect on this and how important it is not to everyone who is toxic or struggling with a lower self, right? But even that, I did not allow it to make me less than or to suffer, even though I went through a lot of suffering. But I still stand strong.
Yes. And not only stand strong, but you become the way and the voice for so many others who may not have had those experiences that you had where your voice was quiet and you're like, wait a minute, I don't think so. No. And there are going to be people who help me through this and I'm going to help others. But for some, this may be the first time that they're starting to feel, or question and then you provide that safe space for them to not only open up, but to reconnect with their power and to carry it forward as you have done so powerfully and beautifully.
Yeah.
I have to ask, like, now from all of these things, happening, now we know, yes, they did indeed happen for you, but like, how do you define authentic success for you now from this vantage point?
Oh, that's good. How do I define success? Okay. To me, success is very different. Just have to work hard and have the show for which one was very successful. But to contribute to other people's lives and be authentic with a heart of serving others so that I can help them grow. Was kind of where my voice kind of was silenced, right? When I got laid off, but that's now what success means to me, or is for me, is to help others. Yeah.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay. Remind us, where can people find you if they've heard something today and want to be served by your voice and helping them to find yours? Where are the best places that they can connect with you, Camilla?
Thank you so much for that. So on LinkedIn, I think we mentioned it a few times, but I'm so happy to summarize because it's so important. On LinkedIn, I have various videos, and some of the videos that I like really go viral right now is how to pitch yourself in interviews, really owning your voice and being of service. A trusted advisor talked about. I think that's really a go-to resource if you're looking for even your promotion or your next dream job. Show up as a trusted advisor and not as a doer. So, I help so many people break through. and land higher salaries. We want that as well. Right? And on LinkedIn, I post almost daily. So find me on LinkedIn. There's only one Camilla Calberg, so it should be pretty easy. And then my website, camillacalberg.com, various resources. I run some workshops, intensives. You can also schedule a one-on-one call if you feel that's it. So be happy to serve you whatever way is best for you.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much, Camilla, for sharing your voice, for your resilience. Thank you so much for being part of Your Next Success. And I am so excited to see what your next success becomes and all the lives that you continue to impact.
Thank you, Carolyn, for having me and for creating, for facilitating, for navigating such a powerful conversation I did not even know. Go next, but you close the loop so beautifully. So thank you for being you, for hosting this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Camilla, thank you so much for sharing your story, your perspective, and the work you're doing to help others lead with greater clarity and trust. Thanks for listening to Your Next Success with Dr. Carolyn Sangal. Remember, authentic success is yours to define and includes aligning your career to support the life you want.